Good morning, Year 2. So carrying on with history today. Well done for your work yesterday, learning all about the royal family. So let's just take another look at our family tree. So we start off with Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, who are married, and we know the Queen is our current Queen. She's the longest reigning Queen we've ever had. And together, they have had a child called Prince Charles. And we talked about how he was married to a lady called Princess Diana before Camilla, and that they had 2 children. And today we're going to look at one of those children in a bit more detail, and that's Prince Harry. So we're going to look at Prince Harry, and we're going to focus on this red line here, which means he's married. He's married to a lady called Meghan. So today we're going to learn all about what their royal wedding was like. And it's really important to remember the past and things like royal weddings, because they symbolise the start of the next generation of royals. So let's take a look. So the royal wedding, let's take a look. So who got married? So we've already said that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were married, and they were married on Saturday the 19th of May in the year 2018. So Harry is what you would call the groom, and Meghan is what you would call the bride. So that's what you call the man and the woman who are getting married. And we know that Prince Harry is a member of the royal family. Let's remind ourselves of who these people are. So we've got his dad, Prince Charles, his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, and his brother, Prince William. So we've looked at those in the family tree. And a fact about Prince Harry is that his actual name is Prince Henry, but everyone calls him Harry. That's the name he likes to go by, and he used to be in the army as well. Now this is Meghan Markle, the lady that he married, and she was born and lived in America. So if we look at our map here, this is us, the United Kingdom, in pink, and over here is where she lived in America. And she used to be an actress, quite a famous one, but now she just works with different charities to help them raise money to help others. So now that she's famous, she's using that to help earn money for charities. When was the wedding? So we know it was on the 19th of May in 2018. Now, I don't want you to work out how many days it's been. I'd like you to work out how many years it's been since the wedding. So it happened in 2018 in May, and we're now in 2020 in May. So have a think. If it was in 2018, we're now in 2020. How many years has it been? Brilliant. We count on. So 2018, 2019, 2020. So it was 2 years ago they got married, and we're in May now, so it's the same month. Where did the wedding take place? The wedding took place at St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. So that's the castle, and that's outside of the chapel, and what it looked like inside. It's a beautiful building. Guests, so who did they invite? There were lots of guests at the wedding. So obviously the Queen and Prince Philip were there because they're Prince Harry's grandparents, as well as Prince William, his brother, and his wife Catherine. And Meghan's mother is called Doria, and she travelled with Meghan to the chapel. They went in a lovely horse and cart as well, which I'll show you tomorrow we'll look at. Meghan walked into the church by herself, and halfway down the aisle, Prince Charles, who's Harry's dad, walked up with her. There were also lots of famous people there. Can you think of any other members of the royal family who might have attended the wedding? So think to our family tree, or maybe you know of some others. Think of anyone else who might have been at the wedding. Excellent. I can think of some because we know that Prince William and Catherine had 2 children. So they have 3 children now, but at the time they only had 2 because their baby was not yet born. So Princess Charlotte and Prince George would have been at the wedding. And we also, on our family tree, know that Prince Charles is married to a lady called Camilla. So she was probably at the wedding too. So on the day, they all wore special wedding clothes, and Meghan wore a beautiful white dress, which was designed by a lady called Claire. But Prince Harry, because he used to be in the army, wore his military uniform. And if I move my face, the guests arrived at the chapel and members of the public stood outside. So if you wanted to, you could go and stand outside the chapel to watch them arrive and watch them leave, but the public weren't allowed in the building, they're just allowed outside. So the ceremony, so that's what you call the actual wedding that happens. It's called the ceremony. So Prince William, remember Prince Harry's brother, was his best man. And Meghan chose to have lots of children as her bridesmaids. So these were all of her bridesmaids. She had lots, and the one that we know about is Princess Charlotte of Cambridge. She was 3 years old at the time, and that's William and Catherine's child. And it started at 12 o'clock, which you know from your maths lessons is also known as midday. And it was led by the Archbishop of Canterbury, and they gave each other traditional wedding rings, they sung special hymns, they read from the Bible, they signed the marriage register, so they did all the traditional wedding things. And then after that, they went out in a carriage and a horse and cart, and they rode all the way around the town of Windsor so that the public could share their happy day and cheer and throw them flowers. So did you know that a marriage vow is a special promise people make to each other? So when they get married, they promise to always look after each other and always love each other. The reception. So the reception is the bit that happens after the official ceremony. It's a bit like a party. So you have a big meal and then have a party. Maybe some of you have been to something like that before. And the best man, Prince William, made a speech, and obviously Prince Harry as the groom did too. So have a think. Have you ever been to a wedding before? What was it like? Maybe you went to one when you were really tiny and your parents might be able to help you remember. And they wanted the public to get involved because it's a brilliant thing to celebrate, because as I said before, it symbolises the start of a new generation of the royal family. So lots of people had street parties with their neighbours to celebrate, or had dinner with their family and friends, or watched it on television. I can remember watching it on television at home. I think I was with my family, and we just had a really nice day and watched it. I didn't go to a party though, but it looks like lots of people had lots of fun. Maybe speak to your parents. What did they do? Can you remember? It was only 2 years ago. You might be able to remember having some kind of street party. And once they got married, the Queen gave them a new title, which meant that instead of being a prince, Harry was now the Duke of Sussex and Meghan was Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. So they had official royal titles. Now, since then, make it bigger. Since then, something has happened where Prince Harry and Meghan have decided that they don't want to be a part of the famous royal family anymore. They don't want to be in the news all the time. They don't want to do the jobs that come with it. They would rather live their own life and do their own charity work. So they actually now are not called the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They are now just Harry and Meghan, and they have their baby Archie, and they have moved to live in America. So that is something really important that is happening now, and that in the future it will be history, and it's showing that the future of the royal family might be quite different, because now people can maybe start to leave if they wish. So it's a really important thing for us to remember that's happening now, as it is changing completely how the royal family work. That ties in nicely to our new big question, which is, why is it important to remember the past? So in all of our creative inquiry lessons, we'll be linking it to this big question. It's our new one. We've had 3, haven't we? This is our 3rd. So why is it important that we remember the royal wedding? Why is it important that we remember that they have decided to leave the royal family? So let's have a think. So I think it's important that we remember the royal wedding because it shows the start of a new generation of the royal family. So they're much younger than their parents and their grandparents, and it's showing us what the royal family may now look like. But then they decided to leave, and that has become a part of history, and in the future children will learn about that in history. So that is important because It shows how the royal family is changing over time. So they are the two things that show us why it's important to remember the past in this topic. So every topic will link back to this question and think about why it's important to remember the past. So your job today. Your job today is to write an invitation for the royal wedding. So you are going to pretend that this is before the royal wedding has happened and you are inviting people to Harry and Meghan's wedding. So here are some of the things you might want to include. We need to know who is getting married. If you've got an invitation to a wedding, the first thing you'd want to know is who is getting married. If not, you wouldn't know. It would be a bit strange, wouldn't it? So then you need to know, who are they inviting? Who are you writing this to? I want you to think about the people who we talked about that were at the wedding, and the slides will all be on Classroom so you can see them, and think about who they might be inviting. The person who they're inviting needs to know when it is and where it is, so they know where and when to turn up. You might want to tell them what they should wear. Do they need to dress smart? And then any other important information. So let me show you an example. So I chose to write my invitation to Prince William and his family because we know that they were at the wedding. So I wrote to Prince William, Catherine the Duchess of Cambridge, and then their two children who were there, Prince George and Princess Charlotte. And then I've said, you are invited to the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Because remember, at this point, they have not become the Duke and Duchess yet. They are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So now we know who it is, we need to know when and where it is. So I've written the ceremony, remember that's the name for the part where they actually get married, will take place on May the 19th, 2018 at St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle at 12 o'clock. So now they know when and where to go. And then I decided, because Prince William had an important job in the wedding, I decided to put that on his invitation. So I put, we would also like to ask Prince William to be the best man and for the children to join our bridesmaids and page boys, because George and Charlotte joined in with the bridesmaids and page boys. So that's my example. You can write yours to anyone that was at the royal wedding or who you think might have been at the royal wedding, because there were lots of famous people there. You need to remember to include all the important information. I'll put this slide and also the slides with all the information on Classrooms. So good luck.